In a world where earthquakes of epic proportions happen every once in a while, find out if you too might be killed in some falling building. Is it a sign of the end of days? Tune in and find out now. That guy really shouldn't have pushed that lady out of the way. Wow, cool special effects. Hey, it's Walter Matthau. Hello and welcome to X Witness Awake. I am your host, Jonathan. Hope that you're doing well today. As you probably guessed from the introduction to the video, today we're going to be talking about earthquakes. This part of the composite sign of the end times is a favorite of evangelicals. But what do Jehovah's Witnesses have to say? Let's take a look.
Is part of a composite sign marking the time of the end. The sign also includes international warfare, earthquakes, famine, and disease.
Jesus then went on to list many events that would occur during the last days. He mentioned wars, he mentioned earthquakes, he mentioned famines and all sorts of pestilences. Truly, we have seen those things happen in recent times.
So this sign is found at Matthew chapter 24. The apostles asked Jesus, "Tell us, when will these things be, and what will be the sign of your presence and the conclusion of the system of things?" And at Matthew chapter 24 and verse 7 it says, "For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be food shortages and earthquakes in one place after another." Some might say that this had everything to do with Jesus' day. But a lot like to point to almost 2,000 years in the future and say, yep, Jesus is talking about right now. Okay, so are there a lot of earthquakes these days? Yeah. Just check the news and you'll find lots of reports of earthquakes. So some will say that there are more earthquakes in the last 100 years than any time in history. But I say, show me the seismologists in ancient times. And guess what? There weren't any. Modern seismographs are technology that didn't exist until 1890. So the recording of earthquakes was simply done by word of mouth, writing things down, but monitoring earthquakes is not something that was done in ancient times. And naturally, the technology has improved and the amount of monitoring equipment has increased. I did find one website that there's about 26,000 seismographs in use around the world. So obviously there was more as time has gone on and more equipment has been added. There's going to be more reports because there's more monitoring. So why does it seem like there's so many earthquakes these days? Well, there's a number of reasons why it might seem that we're experiencing more earthquakes. One reason is because earthquakes in populated places are far more noticed than ones that occur in remote areas. So when a run of earthquakes hits a population center, it appears that the number of events has increased. Also, there are more people at risk. Population increases mean there's going to be more people in areas that earthquakes tend to happen. So although the number of earthquakes remains the same, the impact increases. Another thing is earthquake clustering. So even though the long-term average is fairly consistent, you still get a pattern that forms, and people notice when there's a bunch of earthquakes that happen kind of close to one another, but they kind of forget about the gaps in between, and then they forget the previous clusters. So you get a run of earthquakes, and people go, oh my God, so many earthquakes. And then you get nothing for a while, and people forget about it. And then more earthquakes happen, and then, oh my God, so many earthquakes.
Oh my God!
So that's one thing that makes it appear that there's more. Another thing is global communication. You can just turn on the TV and you're going to find reports of earthquakes. You can get on the internet. There's all kinds of communication going between different countries, different population centers, so you're more aware of it than you would have been in, obviously, the 900s or, 100 BC. Back then, it's word-of-mouth communication. You didn't have this technology that would give this information to you right away, so that's going to make it also feel like there's more. But people really do forget that earthquakes have happened throughout history, and they just weren't as noticed. So I'm going to post here a list that you are welcome to pause if you want to look at it a little more closely. As you can see, there's quite a few throughout history that were notable for how many people were killed, how much destruction there was. Earthquakes were definitely a thing back then. But overall, the average occurrence of earthquakes has remained unchanged. From year to year, earthquake frequency does vary a little bit, but really the whole planet does things in cycles. So over a long time frame, there's no scientific evidence of more earthquakes. So aside from the biblical meaning put on earthquakes, do we need to fear them? Well, common sense says that you should be cautious and be prepared and that you should plan ahead. So worry about earthquakes, but don't let them make you think that the end is coming. Anyway, that's all I have to say on earthquakes for now. And I just want to thank you for watching. And please like this video so the algorithm will send it out to everybody. And till then, I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you next time. Bye now. And if you grew up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm sure you remember this artwork where people are falling to their doom because the earth has cracked open and is swallowing them up. So that's a traumatic thing to have to deal with as a kid. But that's a different subject.
Oh my